This program is brought to you by Emory University.
On October 30th, 2014, the Center for Faculty Development and Excellence at Emory University hosted a workshop by Tani Barlow, Professor of Asian Studies at Rice University and Senior Editor of the journal Positions, Asia Critique. During the workshop, titled Submission, Revision, Publication of Your Essay and Its Impact on Journal Readers, Ms. Barlow addressed strategies for preparing and submitting manuscripts to the journal and what pitfalls to avoid. The workshop was part of the conference China, Tradition and Transformation, co-sponsored by the Grace Chow Lecture Series at Agnes Scott College, the Confucius Institute at Emory University, the Holly Institute for Global Learning, and the China Research Center. This video includes highlights of Ms. Barlow's talk.
You decide that you like the journal, or for some reason your advisor wants you to send your essay or your dissertation chapter to Positions, which is no longer called East Asia Critique. It's called Asia Critique, right? So you could be South Asia, you can make up an idea that Central Asia's, that Russian Far East belongs to Asia. And if you make a good argument, we will consider you part of Asia. It also handles Asian America. So if you make a good argument that San Jose is an Asian American city, it belongs in a journal like Positions, that's perfectly acceptable. You have to make this argument, however. You have to attach your work to the concept of Asia. Now, to underline this, we do not accept the idea that Asia is a piece of real estate. It's a series of concepts. You decide that you want to do this, you go to the website and you take a look at the Positions formula, the format, and you reformat your paper in that format, and you try to avoid spellos, typos, and general messes. Let's say that you are not the next avatar of all humanity, and actually your paper is really, really good, but it's not perfect, all right? You will receive a revise and resubmit. Now, please, graduate students among you, a revise and resubmit from Positions means revise and resubmit. It doesn't mean, well, we're going to reject you in the end. It doesn't mean forget about it, put it in a drawer, and send it to some other journal. It really means revise and resubmit. The earlier you resubmit it, the happy your reviewer or reviewers is going to be, because he will remember you. It won't be that long, you know, and the process will be much easier for you and from the reviewer. In the second round, reviewer may say, well, I respect author because he really stood up for himself, but I don't think the evidence is strong enough. So unless author can provide more evidence in a footnote or in a sentence, then I persist in saying this must be changed. And then author provides the extra material, and everybody agrees that's a fair adjustment, and it goes forward. You need to read the journal and figure out if your work actually is appropriate for this journal, because every once in a while you are going to get a letter from me, from the editor, that says, thank you very much, I thoroughly enjoyed your paper, but I really think it's not appropriate for our journal, and that you should send it to China Quarterly or the Journal of Asian Studies or American Historical Association journal, or many other kinds of journals. So know the profile of this journal and think about why your work is going to fit into what I call the implicit debates and the intellectual work of a journal overall. So what I'm saying here is read between the lines. Where does your scholarship belong in a larger debate? Or this, when I first started, it was colonialism. And I got myself personally into a huge amount of trouble by making the claim that China had been colonized. And attacking some of my grandfather generation of scholars for claiming that, number one, China was never colonized, and number two, if it was a good thing. And the problem was there was not enough of colonization in China. Okay, so that was a big drama for my generation, was how to deal with the colonization problem. You'll have to tell me what the big deal issues are for your generation. Okay. You send me a letter and say, Professor Barlow, you can't call me Tani yet because you don't know me personally. Professor Barlow, I am organizing a panel for the AAS or the whatever you belong to, and we're going to focus on transgender workers in the migration system of Thailand, and we're all specialists, and this is the stake that we have. We're debating this problem, and we wondered if this might be a good special issue. Then we look at what we've got already and what we're going to be publishing soon and figure out, do we have too much of this? Is this new? Is there anything at stake? What are the politics of this? How many people, how big is the fight? Will it be helpful to younger scholars? Will it be helpful to older scholars? These are some of the considerations that have to come. But absolutely, you must think about proposing special issues using your topic. Now, the topic must be a question. There has to be a question in there somewhere. It's like hell on earth, right? Question mark? If there's no question, then why would we read your work? What are your chances, really? What are your chances of having your paper accepted once you go through this very pleasant but often arduous set of processes? In 2014, we accepted 4%. Okay, 4%. In 2013, 8%. In 2012, 12%. In 2010, we had an unusually large submission rate, very, very large, and we accepted 22% of them. So there are a couple of things at work here. First of all, there's the natural flow of energy in scholarship. Sometimes it's low energy, so the work won't be so great. Sometimes there's high energy if there are a lot of debates going on, so the level of acceptance goes up. Sometimes we get, like the 2014, we've had a lower number of manuscripts come in part, and this is something we've tried very hard to work on, but not succeeded, because we have such a backlog. We have in production right now one that covers the MIT controversy over visual cultures. I don't know whether there are any of you who remember that. It was about 7 years ago, and it was a conflict over racially insensitive images shown on the MIT website. And it set off a gigantic global debate over whether it was okay to post websites of Chinese being humiliated and murdered by Japanese soldiers, even though these were woodblock prints, they weren't photographs. So the issue that's coming out is entering a local debate in Chinese studies but it has broad implications because it is about derogating images and how you represent violence. And in my own contribution, why it is that when these things happen, which they always do, there's a panic, a moral panic, and people run into diverse positions and stop talking to each other. So my position on that is we missed a really great opportunity to sit down and say, well, how come the people screaming about my right to free speech are all non-Chinese surname people? And how come the Student Association at MIT, made up of all Chinese surname people, why are they very polite, but why are they being accused of abridging freedom of speech? That's a really big problem, scholarly and social, and we need to be able to talk about this. So the special issue is able to address problems in our own field, why we failed to do it, but it also takes a long time and it takes up a lot of space. So we have moved from 3 journals a year to 4 journals a year, but we still have a huge backlog. So please still send your good material to us, okay? And please excuse us if it takes a little bit of time to actually get it published. I write many letters to tenure review committees saying this is accepted and scheduled for publication, and it is the journal's fault that the paper is not out.
The preceding program is copyrighted by Emory University.